Hi, and welcome. Thought I would start a few minutes earlier, in case we have any commercials at the start. I've been having commercials at the start of live streams when I watch Dylan or something, and it's like you're 20 seconds late. It really bothers me. So let's see, you are all very much on time in the chat, and I appreciate that. So we have Beth, we have Libby, and Kelly, and Lisbeth. For the first time. Oh, wonderful. That's great. That's good. I'm just gonna give it 2 more minutes. In case anyone else comes in. And I have a couple of images that I'm going to try and show you. I usually just paint, but I have some stuff prepared. I hope I don't break anything. So let me start off by saying welcome to this new series. I like doing series. My brain is that way. I like the little numbers in front of the titles, and we did 4 episodes on pigments that I use 80% of the time, and I wanted to do something different. I mean, I can go on about pigments for a very long time, but I wanted to do something different. And lately I've been thinking a lot about learning about things that I want to improve in my art, and also about the struggle of teaching yourself how to paint. I am not educated in any way, and just, you know, I think a lot of us deal with not really knowing where to start and being in charge of judging your own artwork and trying to see where you can improve. For me, that area of improvement is definitely color. I am not someone who gravitates towards color naturally, I would say. I worked with graphite and black and white paint for a very long time. So that was something that I wanted to see if I could study that. And when you Google that or search for that, you get an overwhelming amount of information. I'm sure some of you have done that and suffered the same fate as I have. Color theory is a very difficult subject with a lot of information, and I struggled with it for a while, and I threw some stuff against the wall, and you know how it goes here. And eventually I thought, you know, what if I just sit down and grab a couple of books and just start there and just try and see if you can, wow, I'm going blind on the word. If you can mix and match the colors in the painting that you're referring to. That gave me some good insights, and I figured why not do that on a live stream so you can watch me suffer and maybe learn something while hopefully sitting on your couch or something, doing something nice, maybe being in bed, I don't know. So that's the thing that I'm trying to do here. About the two birds that I wanted to not stone, obviously, I want to put more focus on female painters. It's really that simple. There is no, long explanation, I think, necessary. I want to contribute and do my part. When the book came out, the revised history of art book, I said to my friend, and my friend studied art history, and she said to me, I know none of these women. She has a master's degree in art history, and she knew none of them, So that shocked me, and then it pissed me off for a while. And then I figured, why not just use every opportunity to put female artists out there, right? It's all we can do to make up for history. And the same goes for basically every artist who is not a white male, right? So women, the woman we are talking about and we're looking at right now is Gwen John. Gwen John is a Welsh painter. I chose this self-portrait because it's a very nice example of complementary colors complementing each other, green and red. And the interesting thing about this portrait is how it affects the skin tone. I want to say skin tone in the face, but you get what I mean, right? The skin tone in the face. When you look at it like this, the first few seconds, I was like, that's a very almost neon yellow green. So I took the liberty of doing two things. I usually take my images, my reference images, into Photoshop or some other piece of software, and I apply what they call a median blur. A median blur is basically a blur that doesn't fuzz everything out, right? So it keeps the edges in your image, and it very shortly says it calculates the average colored pixel based on a certain area, right? So what it allows you to do is see the different color blocks. Let me just check if we're doing okay with the stream. Okay. YouTube gives warnings for no reason other than the fact that I'm showing you an image. So a medium blur is a great way to see color a little bit, more clearly. I took the colors from the main areas and I made this absolute mess of an image. I sorted them into a palette. I'm going to show you in a little bit. And what I did was I tried to see for myself what I thought a certain color was and what the actual color turned out to be. So the palette that I eventually came up with is this one. Just gonna open it on my computer. What I try to do when I sort the colors is I try to align them horizontally so that the values match, all right? The red that you see, the red on the right side of the image, is actually quite a dark color. And the issue sometimes with high chromatic colors is that we think they're lighter than they are. So that's a lot of talk, and now we're gonna mix. I have 5 colors. This is ivory black. This is raw umber. Green earth. Green earth by Rublev, which is very olivey. This is a naphthol red. This is a yellow brown. And this is a titanium white, I think. So 2 things. This naphthol red is a really wonderful red. I have it from Gamblin, but I only use it for practicing. And the reason why says on the back, because it's light fast in category 2, all right? So this red is a great red to practice with and not waste your cadmium red, okay, which is criminally expensive. So naphthol red, and this yellow, where are you, brown, is a bit of a cheating color. I bought this color thinking it was some kind of yellow ochre, and I bought it because Stephen Bauman, he was pretty much my art hero. It sounds like I'm 16. Uses this this yellow brown. Sorry, I just need to. Let's go. He uses this yellow brown in a Zorn palette, right? So a palette with black and red. And usually yellow ochre. But the issue with yellow ochre is that it's very low chroma, right? So the problem is that you often have to use a lot, making your values lighter. So I bought this one, but it's actually a mix of several different yellows. So I could have done that myself, but it's okay. All right, we're gonna, can I get a bigger brush? I'm just gonna quickly sketch in the face a little bit. So the goal of my session today is not to paint an accurate portrait. I just want to point that out. This is not a master copy. Master copies are great, I think. I've never done one. But what I want to do really is focus on these relations between colors. I think I've said it before, I'm just gonna say it again. What really helps me when I'm trying to learn something is to focus on one thing at the time. If you try and do everything right at the same time, you're gonna get very tired very quickly. So if you consider the main areas that you can study in art: shape, value, color, and composition. If you want to improve in any of those areas, I would very much recommend you focus on this one thing. Okay. I will definitely try and mix a color for that red dress, but I don't think I have time to paint all of it. We're gonna start with a background, and let me just check the live chat. Welcome, welcome, Maria. I'm gonna try and keep an eye on the light again, just like last time. Okay, so we have a right side and we have a left side, and the right side here in the image is a little bit darker, not too much, a little bit darker, and it's a little bit lighter here. If you remember from last live stream, this earth green is wonderful, but it has absolutely zero coverage. I could have thought about that beforehand, but yeah, you know how it is. So let's talk about Gwen. Gwen, I have to honestly admit that I knew this self-portrait. I've seen it before. I'm not sure where, probably somewhere online. But if you look up some of her paintings, what is really interesting is her use of extremely compressed values. So compressed values are basically, we have a value range here going from ivory black to white, and in between we have a whole range of values, right? Because this is black and this is white, and we can do everything we want. But if you compress your values, you would, for instance, say, okay, well, this red is my darkest dark, and some light yellow, some mix here, is my lightest light. And that means that everything in between, the differences between the value steps is so much smaller than what it would be if you had a complete range of values. And it gives that look of something being a little bit washed out. Does that make sense? Like the sun is very intense and very high in the sky. All right, we're going to start with this. And what I want to do now I want to start with that very light area. This area. This area has about 3 values that are very close together. I'm going to put up the palette that I made. On my computer. I'll put it in the blog, probably, that I put up on my website. Okay, so that's too much. I was gonna say I'm mixing in a little bit of black because this yellow is not, it's not an extremely warm yellow. And my options are limited, as in, you know, maybe I could have chosen a colder yellow. But I don't have one. So we're gonna try and make do with what we have. So what I'm mixing in terms of color is that middle row. I'm just gonna throw it into the, so from the palette, the middle sort of greenish yellow row. The row on the left is a little redder. And it really only shows in the cheeks on the left and on the right side. There we go. We gotta get painting. We're already almost 30 minutes in. It's not really something that's easy to explain while you're painting, right? Kelly says my brain is just absorbing and trusting that I will understand it at some point. Yeah, you will. Yeah, you will. And the only thing I can say is try and do it. I think I also said it last time that, oh, this is so red. I'm sorry. I just gotta. I said it last time. Some of us, including yours truly, have a tendency to, read a lot and not do a lot. And it's really important for your brain, the translation from what you see to what you mix to what you put on, to actually repeat that action. This red is so intense. I am not used to this. I'm gonna take a wild guess. All right, that left side of the face, to me, it appears blue, and I color picked it to death in Photoshop. It is not blue. It is a very desaturated yellow. Right? What? Sometimes I feel like I get something. I'm like, yeah. That's totally blue. You're not fooling me. That's blue. No, it's a dark yellow. Okay. So it's a yellow-ish, as in, when you color pick something on your computer, you kind of see where on the spectrum, on the color spectrum, that color is. What it does do, however, it's very, very gray. So being surrounded by warm colors, by yellow especially, it kind of presents itself as bluish. At least it does in her painting, because I'm not sure if I got this right. Grays are a really interesting thing to experiment with. Grays in warmish areas, also surrounded by yellow or surrounded by red. It's just very interesting what that does to your overall color, like when you step back. All right, so a little bit of red there. And then this triangle here. Values are the same as color, right? We perceive them based on the surrounding color or the surrounding value. So in this case, this triangle can appear just as light as this, but it never really is. It just looks lighter because it's surrounded by darker values. There was a rule at some point, I think, in photography, that if you wanted to light your model this way, one-sided correctly, you had to make sure that the lightest value in the darkest part of the face is the same as the darkest mid-tone on the light side of the face. Right? And when you do photography, that's really not terribly hard. You have a meter and a camera that works. But when you're mixing paint, it's like, what? I gotta clean my brush. Well, this is where the same with that tendency. Yes, we are. A lot of thinking and very little doing. So while I paint, because I need to get going a little bit, maybe you can show me how you're doing. Just in general, or in terms of art. So I'm trying to tone down this yellow with black. I'm actually thinking if maybe I could have gotten away with a Zorn palette. Maybe not the green in the background. I think definitely the face. So I read some stuff about the way that she painted, and she primed her surfaces similar to a lot of painters in the 17th century with chalk and animal glue. Animal glue probably being rabbit glue, which was a common method in that time. But she would apply that mixture, I think, while the glue was still hot, and it caused bubbles on the surface that she would then leave. So you can actually apparently see them through the surface. I like this idea of, you know, people back then experimenting with different things. At some point, she also started using less and less paint. So some of her paintings, you can see that. Are actually, there's sort of a mosaic of strokes, a very dry looking paint. Looks very cool. So you can see if you put a gray in there with what we have now, it kind of starts to look blue, bluish. This is an ivory black, so it does have a warmer undertone, I think, ivory. But it's still black, so. And in a Zorn palette, your black counts, if you will, as a blue. This value might actually be too dark. I'm not someone who paints with a lot of narrow value ranges. Like, I like a bit of contrast, so I have a tendency to put things in too dark. All right, let's see if we can maybe do some hair. It may not have been a good idea for me to put down the sketch lines in a very dark color. You see that? I'm a little bit used to having stuff dry overnight. I have to worry about that in the morning. A little piece of the ear. This is a very intense red. I actually considered just using transparent red iron oxide, which I think may have been a better choice for me. I was a little bit worried it would not have what I needed for the dress. See if we can fix that. This dark line here. So if you want to read a little bit more on Gwen John, I have put up a post on my website. There have been a couple of exhibitions showing her work. I don't think I've seen her work here in the Netherlands. I feel like my white is too transparent. Hold on. I think I may have grabbed the wrong one. Do I ever use zinc white? No, I don't. Zinc is very brittle and tends to break, but I have the one that I was using. This one is this white, lithopone, and lithopone, I'm not a scientist, right? So I'm going to read it to you. Is a mix of, or not a mix, it's sort of a marriage between barium sulfide and zinc sulfide. And zinc sulfide is actually sort of the, I don't know, stable, not brittle, brethren of what we know to be zinc. Anyways, that's a long story. If you're looking for a white that is transparent, try getting lithophone. Added benefit over lead is that it's not going to kill you. Great, right? So the one that I showed you is from Rublev, which is an American brand that you can get in America. You're welcome. All right. I want to finish this shadow. This is not a great looking portrait, which is fine, right? I'm like, no, we're not going for a copy. In the meantime, I'm like, oh, this looks awful. Oh yeah, that looks better. My tendency is to go for warm darks, right? So I feel like raw umber is a very cold and grayish dark. However, I'm struggling here with getting what I want, which is that bluish effect, and it shows here that all I need to do is use more black. That's my tip for today. Use more black. There are people who say you can't use black on your palette. I beg to differ. There's a dog outside. It's not happy. Oh, that's not good. That does not look bad at all. Let's see if we can lighten up that. Area a little bit. Okay. Did something right. I was going to research women's fashions from the 1900s. I wondered if John is wearing a red blouse and a black skirt, but I stopped myself from going down a never-ending. Just go down the rabbit hole. I would just do it. Yeah, that's a good question. She is wearing some kind of shawl that appears to be black, or at least very dark. It's a good question. The Zen of Urban Nature. All right, let's put this in. We're almost at the 1 hour mark, so I really can't talk and paint. Just let me put this. Neck might be a little bit wide. Yeah, it's a little bit wide. Let's do a... Here's what we're gonna do. I'm never gonna finish a portrait in an hour. So let's do it like this. I'm gonna take 5 minutes to sort of assess what I did, where I want to say messed up, but I need to be nice to myself, according to some people. So I'm going to say areas of improvement, right? We're going to see which areas could use some improvement. No, I'm trying to be cute, but if you're like me, you need to watch how you talk, right? Because I'm sitting here saying, oh, let's study together, let's do this and let's do that, and meanwhile in my head I'm bashing myself, which is not a good thing. So I'm trying to be a little bit better about actually saying the stuff that I intended to do. So the intention here was to basically learn something about color. And one of the things I just discussed what I struggled with is how to get that blue. I have an image for you here. In short, the way that we perceive gray depends on the surrounding values. So if you put a gray, like 100% gray, onto a warm background, it's going to appear differently than when you put it on a blue background. I got an image for you here. I know it looks like a robot staring at you, but you can see here that both of the inner circles are 50% gray. The one on the yellow background looks different than the one on the blue background. So that is basically the summary of what I tried to do here, and I feel like I should push it further. Like now it looks gray and I could make it look bluer. I'm going to put all these images in my blog, all right? So if you want to check them out. The other thing that I struggle with a lot is keeping this area vibrant. I said before that I struggle a little bit with maintaining color and vibrancy in the lighter areas. What happens is when you mix with white, you take down the chroma because white doesn't have any chroma. So in order to counteract that, you need to add pigments. Now, me and pigments, unless they're black, are not necessarily friends. So that is something that I want to improve. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a break. It's evening here, and continue a little bit tomorrow and record that for you and put a short video up on YouTube to sort of conclude this one session. I hope to get better at this a little bit. painting and talking is one thing. I got better at that. Painting and actually relaying information, that is still also a little bit uncomfortable for me as well, is another thing, but we'll improve. You're too nice. You're all too nice in the comments. Yes, smack them away. Smacking negative self-talk is by far the most effective thing. I have not touched this red dress. You want to see how red this naphthol is? I regret putting it on my canvas. I'm going to show you, look, because I still have the reference image up. The reddest red in that dress is in no way as red as this. Look at it. Look. This looks insane. So we're gonna have to tone that down, that red. Yeah, I'm gonna experiment with that a little bit. See if I can make it work. For me, I will continue tomorrow. Thank you for joining me. Do you have any questions? Let me know. Next week, we're gonna do something else. I'm not really sure what. Yeah, that is a punch of color. That is it. Like I said, it's a really good replacement for cadmium red if it wasn't not light fast, right? But as a study red, it's incredible. If you ever study with the Zorn palette and want that, you know, cadmium red replacement, get the naphthol red. It's half the price of cadmium. All right. Yeah, let's call it quits, and I will see you next week, and I will have the conclusion up on YouTube either tomorrow or Friday. The red again, yes, naphthol. It is here. Naphthol red. This one's from Gamblin. There are other brands. Is there a pigment number here? Voila. Apparently Robert Gamblin doesn't do pigment numbers. Oh, yes, he does. PR112. So that is PR112. All right, I'm gonna update the blog with all the images if you want to check that out. And I will see you on social media, and I will see you in the live stream next week. Thank you very, very much for joining me in this new series. If you have any suggestions, I have a short list. I can make it a long list. So let me know which female artist you want to see featured, and I will see you soon. Have a good day or evening. Bye-bye.